My family purposely forgot my college graduation, so I changed my name and disappeared forever. For years later, they still don't know where I am. There's a specific kind of cold that settles into your bones when you realize you've been forgotten. Not the accidental forgetfulness of a busy friend or the innocent oversight of a distracted parent. No, this is the deliberate, calculated forgetting that comes from people who have decided, consciously or not, that you simply don't matter enough to remember. I felt that cold on a May afternoon, sitting in a folding chair on a humid college campus, wearing a cap and gown I'd paid for myself, watching other graduates embrace their families while I waited for people who were never coming. My name was Caleb. I'm 27 now, but when this story begins, I was 22, and I was about to become someone else entirely. Let me take you back to the beginning. I grew up in a small town in central Pennsylvania, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone and the high school football team is the most important thing that happens all year. My family, the Harrisons, had lived there for 4 generations. My dad, Frank, worked at the paper mill. My mom, Linda, was a receptionist at a dental office. I had 2 older siblings, Brooke, who was 6 years older than me, and Derek, who was 4 years older. From the outside, we looked like a normal family. We went to church on Sundays, had dinner together most nights, and took a beach vacation every summer. But normal is a mask, and masks hide what's underneath. The truth was simple, I was the afterthought. Brooke was the golden child. She'd been a cheerleader, homecoming queen, and valedictorian. She went to Penn State on a partial scholarship and married a guy from a wealthy family her junior year. My parents couldn't stop talking about her, her perfect grades, her perfect wedding, her perfect life. Derek was the prodigal son. He'd struggled in school, barely graduated, and bounced around jobs for a few years before joining the military. My parents worried about him constantly, sent him care packages, called him every week. He was the one who needed them, so he was the one who got their attention. And then there was me. The quiet one. The one who did well in school without anyone having to ask. The one who never got in trouble, never caused drama, never demanded anything. I was the easy child, the low-maintenance child, the one my parents didn't have to worry about. Which meant, eventually, I was the one they didn't think about at all. It wasn't malicious, not at first. Life just got busy. Brooke was planning her wedding. Derek was deploying overseas. My parents were working overtime to pay for Brooke's extravagant reception. There was always something more important than me. I learned early not to expect much. I celebrated my own birthdays, baking my own cake, wrapping my own presents with money I'd earned from my part-time job. I drove myself to school events, college visits, doctor's appointments. I filled out my own college applications, applied for my own financial aid, wrote my own admissions essays. My parents signed the forms when I asked. They showed up to parent-teacher conferences when I reminded them. But they never initiated. Never asked. Never seemed to wonder how I was doing or what I needed. I told myself it was fine. I was independent. Self-sufficient. I didn't need the attention Brooke demanded or the worry Derek required. I was fine on my own. But fine is a lie we tell ourselves when the truth is too painful to admit. College was my escape. I'd been accepted to a university 3 hours away, far enough that I couldn't come home on weekends, close enough that I could if I needed to. I studied economics, worked 2 jobs to cover what my scholarships didn't, and built a life that didn't depend on anyone else. My parents visited once in 4 years. Once. They came for parents' weekend freshman year, stayed for a few hours, and left early because Derek had called with some crisis. I watched them drive away and told myself it didn't hurt. I was lying. Graduation was supposed to be different. I'd earned my degree with honors, magna cum laude, a 3.8 GPA, a thesis that had been nominated for a department award. I'd landed a job offer from a consulting firm in Philadelphia. I was the first person in my family to graduate from a 4-year university. I called my mom 6 weeks before the ceremony. Mom, graduation is on May 15th. I need to know how many tickets you want. May 15th? Isn't that a Thursday? Yeah. The ceremony is at 2 p.m. A pause. I could hear her shuffling papers, probably checking a calendar. I think Brooke has something that weekend. And Derek might be coming home from training. Let me check and get back to you. She never got back to me. I called again. And again. Each time, she was vague, non-committal, distracted. I'll have to check with your father. Let me see what's going on that weekend. Things are so busy right now, you know how it is. I called my dad directly. Dad, graduation is in 3 weeks. Are you coming? Your mother's handling that. Talk to her. I've talked to her. She won't give me an answer. A long sigh. Look, Caleb, you know how things are right now. Brooke's going through a tough patch with the marriage. Derek's having a hard time adjusting to civilian life. We're stretched thin. I'm graduating college. With honors. I have a job. I thought you'd want to be there. We're proud of you. You know that. Do I? Do I know that? He didn't answer. The silence told me everything. 2 weeks before graduation, I got a text from my mom. So sorry, honey. Something came up with Brooke. We can't make it. We'll celebrate when you're home. Something came up. Like my graduation was a dentist appointment you could reschedule. Like 4 years of work, of sacrifice, of being the invisible child who never asked for anything, none of it mattered enough to show up. I didn't respond. What was there to say? I went to graduation alone. I sat in a sea of families, surrounded by parents hugging their children, grandparents wiping away tears, siblings holding bouquets. I watched my classmates take photos with their loved ones, heard them laugh and cry and celebrate. And I sat alone, in my cap and gown, holding the diploma I'd earned all by myself. After the ceremony, I walked across the campus to the parking lot. My phone buzzed. A text from my mom. How did it go? Send pictures. Send pictures. Like I was on vacation somewhere, not marking the biggest achievement of my life. I didn't send pictures. I got in my car, drove to my apartment, and sat in the dark for a long time. That night, I started planning. The idea came to me fully formed, like something that had been waiting in the shadows for years, just out of sight, until the moment I was ready to see it. Change your name. Change everything. Become someone they'll never find. It wasn't about revenge. Not really. It was about survival. About becoming someone who wasn't defined by being forgotten. About building a life where I mattered, to myself, if not to anyone else. I started researching that night. The process for changing your name varies by state. In Pennsylvania, it required filing a petition with the court, publishing a notice in a local newspaper, and appearing before a judge. Nothing too complicated, but nothing secret either. The publication requirement meant anyone who was looking could find the record. I didn't want to be found. So I decided to move first. Change my name in a new state, where no one knew me, where the newspaper notice would be buried in a publication no one in my family would ever see. I'd already accepted the job in Philadelphia, but Philadelphia was too close. Too easy to find. I called the consulting firm and asked if I could defer my start date. They said yes, 6 months, no problem. I used the time to plan my escape. I chose Virginia. Not too far from Pennsylvania, but far enough. A state with a straightforward name change process and no publication requirement for people changing their name for personal reasons. I found a small apartment in Richmond, signed a lease under my old name, and started building my new identity. The name came to me in a dream. Not literally, but almost. I was lying in bed, staring at the ceiling, when the word surfaced from somewhere deep, Nolan. Nolan James. It felt right, solid, grounded, like a name that belonged to someone who wasn't invisible. I filed the petition 3 weeks after moving to Richmond. The hearing was brief, a few questions from a judge about why I wanted to change my name, a few answers about personal preference and professional identity. He granted the petition without hesitation. When I walked out of that courthouse, I was no longer Caleb Harrison. I was Nolan James. The first thing I did was get a new driver's license. Then a new social security card. Then new bank accounts, new credit cards, new everything. I closed my old accounts, redirected my mail to a post office box, and watched as Caleb Harrison slowly faded from existence. My job started in September. I told my co-workers my name was Nolan, and no one questioned it. Why would they? I was just another new hire, another face in the crowd. No one knew I'd been someone else 3 months earlier. I threw myself into work. Consulting was demanding, long hours, tight deadlines, constant travel, but I was good at it. I'd spent my whole life being overlooked, and now, finally, someone was paying attention. My managers noticed my work ethic. My clients appreciated my attention to detail. I was promoted twice in my first 2 years. Outside of work, I built a life. I joined a running club, made friends, started dating. Nothing serious at first, just coffee, dinners, the occasional weekend trip. I learned to be Nolan, to inhabit this new person I'd created, to let Caleb Harrison become a distant memory. But memories don't disappear. They just wait. The first year, my parents called occasionally. I let the calls go to voicemail, listened to their messages with a strange detachment. Caleb, it's your mother. Just checking in. Give me a call when you get this. Caleb, your father and I are worried about you. We haven't heard from you in months. Caleb, it's your dad. Brooke is asking about you. Call your sister. I didn't call. I didn't respond. I let the silence stretch. The calls became less frequent. Weekly became monthly, became every few months. By the end of the first year, they'd stopped entirely. I told myself I was relieved. I was lying. The guilt was the hardest part. Not guilt about leaving, that felt like survival. But guilt about my grandmother. She was the one person in my family who'd always seen me, who'd sent birthday cards and graduation money and never forgotten a single important date. She was 83, living in a nursing home outside Harrisburg, and she had no idea her grandson had disappeared. I thought about calling her. Wrote letters in my head, composed emails I never sent. But I couldn't risk it. She'd tell my parents, and my parents would find me, and everything I'd built would collapse. So I stayed silent. And I carried the guilt like a stone in my chest. 3 years passed. Nolan James had a life now. A career, a small but close group of friends, a modest but comfortable apartment. He ran half marathons, volunteered at a food bank, adopted a cat from the local shelter. He was stable. He was happy. Or as close to happy as someone could be with a past they were running from. I thought about my family less and less. When I did, it was with a kind of numb acceptance. They'd made their choices, and I'd made mine. We were strangers now, connected only by blood and memory. Then, for years after I disappeared, I got a letter. It was forwarded from my old post office box, the one I'd kept active for years, just in case. The envelope was addressed to Caleb Harrison, care of the box, and the return address was my grandmother's nursing home. My hands shook as I opened it. Dear Caleb. I don't know if this letter will reach you. I don't know if you even want it to. But I needed to try. Your parents told me you moved away and lost touch. They said you changed your number and didn't leave a forwarding address. They said you didn't want to be found. I don't believe that. Not the boy I raised. Not the one who used to sit on my lap and promise to take care of me when I got old. I don't know what happened between you and your parents. I don't know why you felt like you had to disappear. But I want you to know that I love you. I've always loved you. And if you're out there, I hope you're okay. I'm not doing well, Caleb. The doctors say my heart is failing. I don't have much time left. And before I go, I need to see you one more time. Please come. Even if you don't stay. Even if you just walk through the door so I can see your face. I love you, sweetheart. Grandma. I read the letter 3 times. Then I sat on my couch, staring at the wall, and cried for the first time in years. I went to see her. I couldn't not go. She was the only person in my family who'd ever made me feel like I mattered. She'd earned the right to see me one last time. I drove to Harrisburg on a Saturday in October, 6 hours from Richmond, the whole way wrestling with what I'd say, how I'd explain, whether I'd even have to. The nursing home was small and smelled of antiseptic and overcooked vegetables. My grandmother's room was at the end of the hall, door partially open, light spilling out. I knocked. Come in. She was sitting in a chair by the window, a blanket over her lap, her white hair thin and wispy. She'd lost weight since I'd last seen her, a lot of weight. Her skin looked like tissue paper, fragile and translucent. But her eyes. Those eyes still saw everything. Caleb. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. You came. I walked to her chair, knelt beside her, took her hand. It was cold and bony, but her grip was strong. I came, Grandma. She studied my face, her eyes moving slowly, taking me in. You look different. Older. But your eyes are the same. I've been gone a long time. 4 years. Your mother said you changed your name. Said you disappeared like a ghost. I changed my name. Nolan. I go by Nolan now. She nodded slowly, processing. Nolan. That's a good name. Strong. Grandma, I'm sorry I didn't call. I'm sorry I. Hush. She squeezed my hand. I didn't ask you to come so you could apologize. I asked you to come so I could see you. So I could know you're okay. I'm okay. I'm more than okay. I have a good job. Good friends. A cat. She laughed, a dry, rasping sound. A cat. You always wanted a cat. Your mother said they were dirty. She was wrong. She was wrong about a lot of things. The words hung in the air. I didn't know what she meant, and I was afraid to ask. Your mother, my grandmother continued, she didn't know how to love you the way you needed. Neither did your father. They had Brooke, who needed everything, and Derek, who needed everything in a different way. And you needed nothing. Or that's what they told themselves. I didn't need nothing. I just didn't ask. I know, sweetheart. I know. You learned early that asking was pointless. So you stopped. And they stopped noticing. Tears were running down her face now. I wiped them with my sleeve. I should have done more, she said. I should have said something. Made them see. But I was afraid of causing trouble. Afraid of losing what little time I had with them. And I let you slip away. Grandma, that's not. It is. It's the truth. And I need you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry I wasn't braver. I held her hand, unable to speak. I don't have much time left, she continued. Maybe weeks. Maybe days. But before I go, I need to know that you're going to be okay. That you're not going to spend your whole life running. I'm not running. I'm living. I built something. With a different name. A different identity. A whole different person. Because Caleb Harrison was the person no one remembered. Nolan James is someone who matters. She looked at me for a long time. Then she nodded slowly. Then be Nolan. Be whoever you need to be. But promise me something. What? Promise me you'll let someone in. You'll find people who see you. You won't spend your whole life alone because you're afraid of being forgotten again. I wanted to promise. I wanted to mean it. But the words stuck in my throat. I'll try, I said finally. That's all I ask. I stayed with her for 3 days. We talked about everything, her childhood, my childhood, the years between. She told me stories about my grandfather I'd never heard, about their courtship during the war, about the daughter they lost before my father was born. She showed me photographs, yellowed and creased, and made me promise to take them when she was gone. I slept in a chair by her bed, holding her hand, listening to her breathe. On the 3rd day, she told me to go. You have a life. A job. A cat. Go back to it. I can stay longer. No. You came. That's enough. Now go live your life. Be Nolan. Be happy. I hugged her, careful not to hurt her, and felt how small she'd become. I love you, Grandma. I love you too, Caleb. Or Nolan. Whoever you are today. I laughed through my tears. Today, I'm both. She smiled. That's my boy. I drove back to Richmond in a fog. The letter, the visit, her face, it all swirled in my head, mixing with memories I'd tried to bury. My grandmother was dying. My family didn't know who I was anymore. And I was caught between 2 identities, 2 lives, 2 versions of myself that couldn't coexist. I didn't know what to do. So I did what I'd always done. I kept moving forward. My grandmother died 6 weeks later. I got the call from the nursing home. They'd found my number in her room, written on a piece of paper tucked under her pillow. The funeral was in 3 days. Did I want to attend? I said yes. But I didn't go as Nolan. I went as Caleb. It was the first time I'd been back to my hometown in 4 years. The funeral home was the same one where we'd buried my grandfather a decade earlier. The same dark wood, the same floral arrangements, the same hushed voices. I stood in the parking lot for a long time, trying to gather the courage to walk inside. Then I saw them. My parents. My sister Brooke. My brother Derek. All standing at the entrance, greeting mourners, playing the roles of the grieving family. My mother looked older. Her hair was gray now, her face lined with worry. My father had gained weight, moved slower, seemed smaller somehow. Brooke was there without her husband, the marriage had ended, I'd heard through the grapevine. Derek was in uniform, standing tall, trying to look composed. They didn't see me at first. I was just another figure in the parking lot, another face in the crowd. Then my mother looked up, and our eyes met. The recognition was slow. Confusion, then disbelief, then something that looked like grief. She grabbed my father's arm, whispered something, and they both stared at me like I was a ghost. I walked toward them. Caleb. My mother's voice cracked. Caleb, is that really you? It's me, Mom. She reached for me, and I let her hug me. It felt strange, her body was different, smaller, more fragile. She was crying, apologizing, saying things I couldn't quite hear. Where have you been? We looked for you. We tried to find you. I know. We were so worried. Your grandmother, she told us you came to see her. She said you were okay. But we didn't know. I'm okay. I've been okay. My father shook my hand, awkward and formal. You look good, son. Thanks, Dad. Brooke hugged me too, stiff and uncertain. Derek clasped my shoulder, his eyes red. We missed you, Derek said. We messed up. We know that. I didn't respond. What was there to say? The funeral was beautiful. My grandmother would have hated the fuss, she was never one for attention, but she deserved every word. People spoke about her kindness, her strength, her stubborn love. I sat in the back, alone, and cried for the woman who'd never forgotten me. After the service, my family gathered at my parents' house. The same house I'd grown up in, the same kitchen where I'd eaten breakfast, the same backyard where I'd played as a child. Everything was familiar, but nothing felt like home. We sat in the living room, the five of us, the silence heavy and uncomfortable. My mother broke first. "Why did you leave? Why didn't you call? We didn't even know if you were alive. You forgot my graduation." The words came out flat, emotionless. I hadn't planned to say them. But there they were. "We didn't forget. You said something came up with Brooke. You said you'd celebrate when I got home. You didn't come. You didn't even send a card." My mother's face crumpled. "We were going to make it up to you. We had plans." "What plans? You never asked about my life. You never visited. You never called unless I called first. I was invisible to you. And when I finally accomplished something worth celebrating, you chose something else over me. Caleb. Again. You chose something else over me. Like you always did." My father spoke up. "We made mistakes. We know that. But you disappeared. You changed your name. You cut us out of your life completely. That's not a proportional response." "Proportional?" I laughed, bitter and sharp. "You want to talk about proportional? I spent 22 years being forgotten. 22 years of birthdays alone, achievements unnoticed, needs unmet. I wasn't asking for much. I just wanted you to show up. Just once." Silence. "We're sorry," my mother whispered. "We're so sorry." Sorry doesn't undo 22 years. "What do you want from us? What can we do to make this right?" I looked at them, my parents, my siblings, the people who were supposed to love me unconditionally. And I realized something I'd known for a long time but never fully accepted. There was nothing they could do. The damage was done. The wound was too deep. I'd spent 4 years building a life without them, and I didn't want to tear it down. "I don't want anything," I said. "I came for Grandma. That's all." "So that's it? You're just going to leave again?" "Yes. Caleb. My name is Nolan now. I've been Nolan for 4 years. That's who I am." My mother started crying. My father looked away. Derek stared at the floor. "You're not going to give us a chance?" Brooke asked, her voice small. "I gave you chances for 22 years. You didn't take them." I stood up, walked to the door, and stopped. "I'm not angry anymore. I don't hate you. I don't need you. I haven't needed you for a long time. And I think that's the saddest part." I walked out of the house, got in my car, and drove away. That was 3 years ago. I haven't seen my family since the funeral. We exchange Christmas cards, brief, formal, empty of anything real. My mother sends updates about Brooke's new job, Derek's latest posting, their own health struggles. I send photos of my cat and the occasional vacation snapshot. It's not a relationship. It's a performance. 2 parties pretending they're still connected because the alternative is too painful to accept. I've made peace with it. Mostly. My grandmother's death changed something in me. Not in a dramatic way, I didn't suddenly forgive my family or rush back into their arms. But I stopped running. I stopped pretending that Caleb Harrison never existed. I am Nolan. But I was Caleb. And both of those people deserve to be acknowledged. I started seeing a therapist 2 years ago. Dr. Park, a gentle woman with kind eyes who never flinched at the worst parts of my story. "You're not running anymore," she said during one session. "But you're not fully present either. You're still holding yourself back, waiting for something to go wrong. What if it does? What if I let someone in and they forget me too? That's the risk. But the alternative, being alone forever, is worse. Don't you think?" I didn't know. I'd been alone so long it felt like home. But she was right. I was holding back. At work, I was friendly but distant, never forming real friendships. In my running club, I showed up, ran, and left without staying for the social hour. On dating apps, I matched with people, exchanged a few messages, and disappeared before the first date. I was still afraid. Still waiting to be forgotten. A year ago, I met someone who made me want to try. Her name is Maya. She's a graphic designer, quiet and observant, with a laugh that sneaks up on you. We met at a coffee shop, she was working on a logo, I was grading reports, and we ended up sharing a table when the shop got crowded. "You're intense," she said, watching me work. "I'm focused." "Same thing." She smiled. "What do you do when you're not being intense?" "I run. I read. I hang out with my cat." A cat guy. I should have known. We talked for an hour. Then another hour. By the time the coffee shop closed, I had her number. I almost didn't call. The old fear was there, whispering that she'd forget about me, that I'd invest and lose, that it was safer to be alone. But I thought about my grandmother's words, "Promise me you'll let someone in." I called. We've been together for 10 months now. It's not perfect, no relationship is, but it's real. She knows my story. The whole thing. The graduation, the name change, the family I left behind. "You're not broken," she told me once, when I was spiraling about something small. "You're just scared. And that's okay. I'm scared too. But we can be scared together." I cried. She held me. And for the first time in a long time, I felt seen. My family still reaches out sometimes. My mother sends longer letters now, more reflective, more honest. She's been in therapy too, she says. She's starting to understand what she did, how she failed me. She doesn't ask for forgiveness. She just asks for connection. I'm not ready. Maybe I'll never be ready. But I've stopped saying no. Last month, I sent her a photo of Maya and me at a half marathon, both of us sweaty and grinning, our medals around our necks. She responded with a photo of herself at the same age, running a race I never knew about. "You have my legs," she wrote. "I always wondered who you got that from." It wasn't forgiveness. It wasn't reconciliation. But it was something. A small crack in the wall I'd built. Maybe that's enough. Maybe healing isn't about fixing everything, it's about finding a way to live with the cracks. I still think about that graduation sometimes. The folding chair, the humid air, the families hugging while I sat alone. I think about the cold that settled into my bones, the moment I realized I'd been forgotten on purpose. I don't regret leaving. I don't regret becoming Nolan. That decision saved my life. But I also don't regret the small steps I'm taking now. The letters I send. The photos I share. The tentative, fragile hope that maybe, someday, I'll be able to hold both versions of myself, Caleb and Nolan, without feeling torn in two. The door my family left open wasn't just an exit from their lives. It was an entrance to mine. I walked through. And on the other side, I found someone I didn't know existed, myself. Epilogue, present day. I'm writing this from the porch of my apartment in Richmond. It's May again, graduation season. The universities are holding ceremonies, and the streets are filled with families in their Sunday best, carrying balloons and bouquets. I don't feel the same sting I used to. The memory is still there, but it's faded, like an old photograph left in the sun. I can look at it now without falling apart. Maya is inside, making dinner. The cat is curled at my feet. My phone buzzes, a text from my mother, a photo of her garden, the roses she's been tending. I respond with a thumbs up emoji. It's not much. But it's something. I think about my grandmother often. The letter she sent, the visit we had, the way she held my hand and told me to let someone in. I think about her dying wish, that I wouldn't spend my life alone. I haven't. I'm not. I'm Nolan. I'm Caleb. I'm both and neither, a person forged from absence and presence, from leaving and returning. The graduation they missed didn't break me. It transformed me. And I'm still becoming. That's it for today's stories. If you want to see more of the best threads Reddit has to offer, make Reddit Be Mine a part of your daily routine. Hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss a heartbeat. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next thread.